23-year-old female from the UK. This happened when I was 17, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. It was January the 2nd, 2012. Me and my boyfriend had just parted ways for the night. I was 3 miles away from my home, and the only way towards it was down a long road, dimly lit, houses adorned on one side, while pubs and businesses were present on the other. It was around 7:30, and being winter, it was extremely dark out. My mother had warned me against walking down that road on my own, but against my better judgment, I decided to walk down that street that night. About 5 minutes into my walking, I could hear someone, or something, through the music I was listening to through my headphones. I looked behind me to see a man, wearing his hood up, a baseball cap on, dressed in mostly dark colors, doing some kind of walk-jog type deal to catch up with me. Immediately I start to panic, as I don't like strangers at the best of times, and I'm very awkward. I quickly take my earphones out and tuck them into my pocket, unsure what this man's intentions were. He catches up to me and begins to walk alongside me. "Hey," he says. I don't answer. I don't even acknowledge him. "Hey, I saw you walking up there," he says. And then he asks, "Hey, how you doing?" Clearly not getting the hint that I want to be left alone. I reply thanks, and then I'm on my way home, and I pick up my pace slightly, trying to make it obvious that I don't want to talk. He asks again, "What's your name?" Being on high alert, I give him the fake name Charlotte. Charlotte. That's a nice name. I get this creepy vibe from him. Sneaking a quick look, I see this guy has a ton of facial scars, and his eyes are almost bulging out of the sockets. "So what's your name?" I ask, feigning politeness and trying not to show my fear. "The boys call me Doctor." "Doctor? Yeah, that's me. Speaking of boys, would you like to come and meet my friends?" Panicking more now, I reply that I've got to go home. I keep walking, cursing at myself inside my mind. If only I had listened to my mother. Why did I walk down this road alone? "Come with me," he said, slightly pulling on my jacket arm. "What do you mean? What for?" The fear now breaking out on my voice. He replies, "I need a favor." He then asks me for a blowjob, and I'm freaking out at this point. I felt numb all over, and although I had a phone on me, I couldn't discreetly call 999, as I didn't know if this guy had a knife or a weapon. His crazed expression would have been enough to put anyone on edge. I replied to this creep, "Listen, I don't do that kind of stuff, Doctor." He begins to get a little more persistent, saying that he hasn't had a woman in such a long time, pulling at my jacket arm with more force than before. He attempts to nudge me towards dark, empty parking lots. I continued walking as fast as I possibly could, to which he was telling me to slow down and that he doesn't know anyone who walks that fast. He had to jog just to keep pace. I finally reached the town, which was 2 miles from my home, but there's no way I was leading this guy back to my house. I decided to go to the local supermarket, which was open 24 hours. I could have cried with happiness that there were people all around, but this guy was still latched onto my side, now staying deathly silent since we were in the public eye. Instead of a normal person and asking for help, I panicked and decided to excuse myself to go to the restroom. A stupid move, I know in hindsight. I would have immediately told someone of my predicament, but I was 17 at the time, and being extremely scared caused me to make that one mistake. I head into the restroom, which to me is a safe haven, until he follows me into the toilets. That's when he grabs me by the arm, kicks open one of the stall doors and growls, "Get in." Through tears, I tell him that I don't do that, and he growls again, "Get in," in a more furious tone before tugging at my arm. Then miraculously, one of the shop's employees that had been using one of the stalls comes out and sees Doctor, a male in the women's toilets. She immediately tells him, "You can't be in here. This is the women's bathroom." He looks shocked as he looks to me, then back to the woman, and then back to me. He then tells me, "I'll be waiting outside for you, Charlotte," and quickly takes his leave, giving one last foul glance over his shoulder before the restroom door swings shut. At that moment, my legs buckle from underneath me, and I start sobbing my heart out. The employee asked me if I was okay, to which I told her about the ordeal I had endured for the last half hour. I told her how I didn't have any idea who this man was, and that he had just begun following me. She then told me to get into one of the stalls, lock it, and don't open until it was another employee. In the 5 minutes I was in that stall, my mind raced. I had never felt so vulnerable in all my life. My heart was still beating hard, my legs were like jello. I was emotionally and mentally spent, and I was fully expecting the door to be kicked open by Doctor. But it never happened. Instead, the door was knocked. It was an employee informing me that the police were on the way. She then guided me out to the cafe where they gave me a free drink to settle my nerves. I felt like a little kid again in a world of adults, explaining my experience again, to which the 3 staff, 2 women and 1 man, couldn't believe how brave I was. The one woman commenting on the fact that you wouldn't expect it to happen to someone as well dressed as I was. After all, I was never one for skirts or heels. I favored my baggy jeans and Converse sneakers. Before long, I felt someone grip my shoulder. It was him again. "Are you coming, Charlotte?" I didn't look at him. I didn't talk to him. I froze. I just sat there looking at the staff in desperation. And that's when a very burly security guard escorted him back outside. 1 staff member kept me talking, while a few more were watching him on the CCTV. The creep had been standing outside waiting for me for about half an hour. After 45 minutes, the police arrive and give me a ride home. I had to give a statement in front of my mother, who was both horrified, but at the same time very matter-of-fact, serves-you-right type attitude. For weeks, I had to go to and from the police station to give more in-depth statements, one being recorded on a tape. Another time, I had to try and identify Doctor through pictures of sex offenders. But alas, the Doctor was never caught. I can't even imagine what could have happened to me if that woman wasn't in the stall that night, or if I didn't have the common sense to go to a brightly lit public place. One thing's for certain, I never walk down that road anymore, and if I'm out after dark, I always have someone with me, as I can't make it 50 feet without feeling uneasy that someone may be following me. I also carry pepper spray at all times, even though it's classed as an offensive weapon and is illegal to carry around in the UK. I won't be making that same mistake twice.